What's up everybody? Welcome back to another rankings video. About a year or so back I took a look at my top 10 roller coasters of all time. I'll go ahead and link that video below for anyone to check out. But for today we're going to be looking at my top 10 theme parks of all time. My criteria for ranking these parks is based on the total experience that each offers, and not solely on the quality of the coaster lineups. Although obviously that's a huge factor and it might be a video for the future. But today I'll be taking into account the theming, food options, special events, just about everything each respective park has to offer. So with that, just as last time, let's start with the honorable mentions. Kicking off this list would be one of the first parks that I've ever visited. That would be Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. My family used to visit this park yearly growing up, and it is extremely nostalgic to me. I'm hoping the guest experience hasn't suffered in recent years, as it's been a few since my last visit, but I used to look forward to visiting Great America every summer. This park has always had a fantastic coaster collection, but they've continued to steadily supplement over the years, even after a few notable removals. And they even have a few great flats and water rides to add to their legendary coasters. I know this park can get busy in the summer and in the fall during their Halloween events, but if you can catch it on the right day, this park is just as good as any on this list. Next up is another nostalgic selection for me, and that would be Universal Studios at Universal Orlando Resort. I will say a good portion of this choice is weighted heavily by the resort's annual Halloween event, which is Halloween Horror Nights, and it runs almost nightly from the beginning of September through the end of October. Aside from this world-class event, which I've documented thoroughly in recent years, I'll be sure to leave plenty of links below for you guys to check out. I've absolutely loved visiting this park. Although it is a very different place than the first time I visited as a child, I still thoroughly enjoy all the attractions and themed areas of Universal Studios. There are some delicious food offerings and some other great seasonal events, and there you have another honorable mention for me. Next up for my honorable mention list, I have a park that I've only recently visited in Dollywood out of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I'm not sure what took me so long, but we were finally able to make it out for our first visit to this park this past year for their infamous Smoky Mountain Christmas event. It was a fantastic way to be introduced to this charming regional park, and we had an absolute blast exploring everything it had to offer. The park was decorated beautifully, and we'll for sure be back for another Christmas season. There's just so much to see and do at this park, from the world-class entertainment to the one-of-a-kind attractions and experiences. This is for sure a must-visit for theme park and coaster enthusiasts alike. My next honorable mention is actually one of my two home parks in Carowinds, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. This park has grown tremendously in the last several years, and I'm super lucky to have it just a short drive away. Fury is absolutely world class, and the other three major coasters are also must-dos. The lineup does fall off pretty significantly after the top four, but there's still some classics in there worth riding. The investment that Cedar Fair is making into this park recently is really putting Carowinds on the map, and it's honestly never looked better. Finally, just outside my top 10, I have Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, just about an hour outside the New York metro area. While not the nicest or most picturesque park I've ever visited, you can't deny that its coaster collection is one of the strongest in the world. Between El Toro, King Ka, the 5 B&Ms, and now a new RMC single rail, this has to be one of the deepest and most well-rounded lineups around. It is of course a Six Flags, so operations, food quality, general cleanliness can always be issues. But as of late, it seems like this park has taken steps in the right direction. Okay, so finally getting to my list, starting off with number 10, I have Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Talk about another location with a diverse and deep coaster collection. This park has just about one of everything, and a few excellent standout coasters to cap it all off. Mix in its excellent setting and additional nearby chocolatey themed attractions, and this park makes for a great multi-day visit. It is a beautiful area that I'm excited to get back to, as I've yet to experience the overhauled Entry Plaza or Hershey Park's newest coaster, Candemonium. Other than that, Sky Rush and Storm Runner are definitely two of my favorite attractions and are must-dos for any enthusiast out there. Coming in at number 9, I have my other home park of Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which is another short drive from my home base here in North Carolina. I've grown up going to Busch Gardens for the last 25 or so years and have seen the park grow and change over this time. In addition to adding some tremendous thrill rides, see my recent Pantheon video for Exhibit A, they still have managed to keep up their tradition of being the world's most beautiful theme park. I will say the park does feel slightly less authentic than it used to be growing up, as there are corporate references and ads scattered throughout, but I can overlook this as typically it doesn't detract from the experience. For a regional theme park, Busch Gardens Williamsburg compares with most of the big boys, and that's saying quite a bit for how far it's come. Next on my list at number 8 would be all of the parks of Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. I really hate lumping all of these together as they all offer such truly different experiences, but if I didn't, then half this list would probably just be Disney parks, and that's not super insightful. So in terms of individual park ranking's sake, this has fluctuated over the years, but as of late, Epcot has become my favorite Disney park, particularly with their new edition of Guardians. Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom would probably be tied for my second favorite, with Animal Kingdom coming in just behind those two. And that's tough to say because I really do love Animal Kingdom. And these parks are just so immersive to the next level, and some of these experiences are truly one of a kind, something you can't get anywhere else. I'm not too psyched about the new Genie system and the recent price hikes that have taken place, but such is the way of the world now. So barring some significant changes, we will always be Disney fans. It was really tough for me to put this one above its Williamsburg counterpart, but for number 7 on my list, I have Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida. I've never had a bad time at this park, and although I've always visited during non-peak times, there's just so much to do and see at Busch Gardens Tampa that I don't think crowds would even bother me too much here. The park is downright beautiful, has an incredible coaster collection, and is essentially a theme park and a zoo all in one. The animal exhibits are all well kept and a very nice way to break up the thrill rides. And although it can get downright hot as hell in Tampa, the park does have plenty of shade and water attractions to keep you cool. I always look forward to my next visit to BGT, not to mention Iron Gwazi. That thing is incredible. I'm still currently debating whether or not it dethrones my current number 1 coaster of all time in the Velocicoaster. I think that just means I need to get back to ride it again. Number 6 on my top parks list is the iconic Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. The newest coaster capital of the world, this park's collection is absolutely mind-blowing to me, and it doesn't seem like they're slowing down anytime soon with their most recent additions of West Coast Racers and Wonder Woman. The park does suffer from the typical Six Flags shortcomings, but I can definitely overlook those for the sheer capacity of record-breaking attractions. If you have yet to visit, Magic Mountain should be on every roller coaster enthusiast shortlist. Alright, we made it to the top 5. Continuing at number 5, we have Cedar Fair's Kings Island, just a few minutes north of Cincinnati, Ohio. This park checks pretty much all of the boxes for me. Excellent coasters, great operations and employees, just a phenomenal overall experience. Another park that I've never had a bad visit at, and I was able to ride Son of Beast on 2 separate occasions, so take that for what you will. You can tell this park is well cared for with all their coaster retracts, renovations, and constant updates. I'm excited to see what it has in store for the future. With that, at number 4, I have Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. Talk about one-of-a-kind experiences, this place is absolutely full of them. From the interactive and educational craftsmen and artisans they have scattered throughout the entire park, to the beautiful setting and landscape that the park traverses, this place is so beautiful and one that I would highly recommend visiting, even though it might be a bit off the beaten path. Branson itself wasn't terribly exciting to me. It's kind of like a Myrtle Beach in the mountains, but they definitely have a gem of a theme park in SDC, and will for sure be back for their next big addition. As it stands, Time Traveler and Outlaw Run are already enough reason to visit, in addition to all the other amazing things I mentioned. My third favorite park of all time is Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California. This place crams so much into such a small plot of land, it's truly remarkable. Their coaster collection is awesome, and the different themed areas they have are very well done, particularly the Ghost Town area. There's just something for everyone at this park. The kids area looked phenomenal, the dining and shows are all top notch. The all-around experience is just better than what you would typically receive at a Cedar Fair park. And this makes a lot of sense with Disneyland just a few miles down the road. I think Knott's is an awesome alternative, and although we've already experienced their legendary Boysenberry Festival, we can't wait to get back for a visit, this time for Knott's Scary Farm, which we've heard incredible things about. My number 2 theme park of all time is Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Now, what else can you say about Cedar Point? Although technically dethroned as the coaster capital of the world, it'll always still be that in my heart. Minus their recent Wild Mouse announcement, pretty much every coaster they've installed has been world-class and record-breaking. I mean, just think about all the awesome ones they have. Maverick, Millennium Force, Steel Vengeance, Raptor, Gatekeeper, Magnum, the Dragster, hopefully if it comes back, we're fingers crossed there. But also just the entire experience. I mean, even just driving up to the peninsula for the first time and seeing the skyline with all the coasters there on the water is truly breathtaking. If you're ever able to stay at the Hotel Breakers on property, I would highly recommend that. Being able to jump back between the park, the pool, the awesome beach and boardwalk they have is pretty much one of the coolest things ever, and definitely an experience that should not be missed. Although seemingly impossible to beat, there is one park that I rank just slightly higher than Cedar Point, and that park is Islands of Adventure at Universal Orlando Resort in Orlando, Florida. The theming and immersion in this park is just next level. I truly enjoy every attraction and every themed area they have. I think this place is just the epitome of what a theme park sets out to be. And I will say a lot of this ranking has to do with the nostalgia factor. I mean, I grew up with Islands of Adventure. I was lucky enough to visit in 1999 with my family, probably about 2 or 3 months after the park opened, when it was completely dead. There were absolutely no crowds. We were one of the first groups to stay at the Portofino Bay Hotel. The Hulk blew my mind when I was a kid and still stands as one of the greatest attractions ever built. Not to mention, just a couple hundred feet down the road, Spider-Man, such a legendary dark ride. And even though it's over 20 years old now, it still holds up as one of the best dark rides ever built, especially with the recent upkeep and maintenance they've been making to it. Don't even get me started on Velocicoaster and Hagrid's. I've got a ranking of my top 10 coasters that I'll link down below, and you can see just where Velocicoaster ranks. Although I truly do miss Dueling Dragons, Hagrid's is a phenomenal replacement. Incredible water rides in Popeyes, Dudley Do Right's, and the Jurassic Park River Adventure. This park just has it all. And even though it's probably one of the most visited on this list, I still find myself so excited to get back to this place. I'll be interested to see how Epic Universe stacks up to Islands in just a couple years when it opens. I think it's slated for the summer of 2025 if everything goes according to plan. But Islands of Adventure will always have a special place in my heart. And for now, it is my #1 best theme park of all time. So there you have it. Thanks for sticking through with me on another rankings video here. Now these are just my opinions, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys have. There are plenty of great parks that I sadly had to leave off this list just because I could only choose 10. I mean, there's so many parks out there that are worthy of a top 10, and again, just my rankings. I'm sure there's vastly different opinions out there, so please leave a comment below. Would love to hear from you and see how your list stacks up to mine. There's so many other parks out there that could have made this list. In particular, just outside my top 15 would be Disneyland, California Adventure, also Kennywood, SeaWorld, Kings Dominion, some of the other Six Flags parks in Fiesta, Texas, and over Georgia. So there's so many good ones to choose from. So I'd be very interested to hear others' opinions out there. And let me know what your top 10 and overall favorite park is. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, in addition to maybe subscribing if you already haven't, because I'm going to have plenty more videos just like this in the near future. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you guys next time.